but the reason that I can accept that Jeffrey Epstein lives is because I've looked at the scale of the operation.
Hello, Internet. How are you? Busy digging into the Epstein files? Episode 287 here of Outrage Factory. You know what's funny, Adrian?
What?
Done this for 287 episodes and I still get nervous a bit, especially on big, bad topics like this, because I always feel underprepared and dumb. That's basically, I guess,
Yeah.
is that nervousness or is that just me knowing my own limitations?
It's all those things.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, and I
especially
mean,
with,
today in
yeah.
particular, we're doing, I don't know how you, I mean, I've been listening to other people talk about this, and the enormity of it is, it beggars belief and description. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think it was Jimmy Dore had some he it's annoying because Jimmy Dore played a quote, but he didn't say who said it, but he was saying that this is kind of like the Epstein files and releasing 3 million files at once is kind of a cover up because they've like it's a weaponized DOG strategy of controlled confusion where it's like they just release too much so you can't go through it and then by the time everybody goes through it it's like months down the road or whatever.
yeah, I happen to think that's exactly right,
Hmm.
actually. I think that, flooding the zone is it's a strategy. And anyway, while we're consumed by it forever and sink further and further into despair because of just how
Hmm.
unthinkably dark it all is.
Yeah, and this is
Um,
even the better half. Like, because they say roughly 6 million files. They released half, the first 3 million, and the second 3 million they don't release because it's like it's too graphic. There's too much like violence or essay in it, and they haven't had enough time to like redact it. So this is the easy, like this is the PG Epstein files, and it's already too dark. Like
yeah,
one of the reasons I didn't dig into it, like go on to like there's actually this website called jmail.world
yeah,
and it's all the Epstein files so far and it's compiled into like a mock Gmail. So you
yeah,
could it's like you're logged into Epstein's JEEV events at
yeah,
gmail.com.
yeah.
It's like you're logged into that so you could just search through and all the pictures and stuff. So that's cool. And I kind of looked at it, but I was like, I don't want to find stuff. Like this isn't the JFK files that they released where I was like for a fucking week I was just like eyes deep in it finding out how much the CIA knew about that fucking Patsy guy. What's his name? I just blanked for whatever reason.
Oswald?
Yeah, it's just like how long they were tracking him before, and it's like that stuff. You're like, oh, cool, whatever. And then the Epstein files, it's like you don't want to turn over rocks because it's like you don't want to like find the bugs under the rock. You kind of just want someone else to do the heavy lifting, and so you can be like, yeah, everything's terrible.
Everything's terrible. Every name you can think of, whether you like that person or not, is implicated.
Yeah.
Everyone, and yeah, I mean, there's only so much corrosion your soul can take. And that's the thing. It is
Hmm.
corrosive, unfortunately. But I was listening to some guys talk about it on the William Ramsey show yesterday, which is hit and miss. But on this topic, I think William Ramsey's very good, and and he's doing the work. He's doing and this is something I should say up front. I'm grateful that. I follow a number of accounts on Twitter, which is a sewer, but if it's you can still use it, you can still be a discriminating user. So quite a few trusted accounts that have done some, I've pulled up just some really, really remarkable stuff. And
Hey,
it's not
Adrian,
hard to pull up amazing stuff.
if you
Amazing
want
is
to
the
see
wrong
the
word.
shit, you got to go in the sewer.
Well, that's it, and so I'm grateful that they're doing it. But as this fellow said yesterday on William Ramsey's show, like you can't look away. It's your sort of your duty almost to make sure you're looking because we need to
Yeah.
know. And so flooding the zone is a strategy, I believe. And one thing that is very difficult for any lay person, and especially dummies like you and me to understand is what's the legal way forward? There
Hmm.
appears we don't know. It's extremely convoluted, and I think that's all part of it.
Yeah.
Um, you know, this will be nothing but frustrating, I think, for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
But also, notwithstanding that, yes, there will be some information in there that's not true. The larger picture is true. There's no denying it.
Hmm.
And there's that sort of old tenet, the worst thing you can think of happens.
Yeah.
It's been done. This contains stuff that's worse than the worst things I've ever thought of, to be honest.
Hmm.
Like I've seen some things, so I'm like, how is that? How would you even imagine doing that? Uh, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything like that, but like I was saying before, like if I find out Frazzle Drip is real and everybody finds out that's real, like how do we not form an angry mob? Like what kind of a person can hold themselves back from that?
Well, one take that I've seen that stuck with me is that as part of this strategy, and I wouldn't put it on the DOJ particularly. I think you and I can agree there are entities above. There are supranational entities that we don't even know the names of.
CIA.
Well, well, the CIA would be a client of these
Yeah.
entities that I'm talking about. We don't know the names. We don't know the names of the people involved, probably. But There is an ongoing effort, it seems to me, to delegitimize all Western governments because, as I've uh, stated on this show ad nauseum now, the goal ultimately is a global technocracy. However
Hmm.
that plays out, there will still be some borders, but a global technocracy. And simultaneously, people, normies, good people of sound mind and faith are being persuaded that a technological governance is a good thing. And hey, if we can, the problem with humans is they're terribly flawed. And in the case of Epstein and anybody that got close to him, like downright fucking evil.
Hmm.
So why don't we? Why? How about we just hand this over to an amoral technology that does not that it makes its decisions for us based entirely on a rational way of governance, right? Like that's
Hmm.
because this has been the long game for generations now. The technocracy. You can find it. The Fabians were writing about it. H.G. Wells was writing about it. All these people that we take to be sort of socialist heroes back in the day, or at least early sort of leftist adapters. No, they're talking about this thing, the technocracy, and it's very very anti-human. So anyway, my point here being that this is another way to really just like really pummel people with develop as much contempt as we possibly can for our institutions
Yeah.
and
Like try to
and
black pill people too.
beg for change.
Hmm. This I could also I agree with you there, and I think another scary thing I was thinking about was like the Epstein when he was killed himself in his cell, it was a big red pill for the average person, for the peasants. Like they woke up to conspiracies are real and it was a big sex ring. And I feel like this is a attempt to black pill the peasants, where it's like, yes,
Yeah.
there's some satanic pedophiles who run everything, but there's nothing you can do about it because nobody's going to bring them to justice. So it's almost like they're trying to get the average person to lose hope. But I mean, don't. I guess I'm sorry. I don't have much I could tell you in the way. All I could say is like you got to act locally to affect globally, which is just like that thing I always bring up that Buddhist saying tend to the garden you can touch, which is just make the life around you better, and if everybody does that, then it gets bigger and better.
It's very, very true. I do believe that too. And I mean, I always go back to our Buckminster Fuller, who is himself pretty suspect, I suppose. But, when asked, how do we save the world, our Buckminster Fuller, his answer was, well, everybody just do their best, and that should suffice. Which is
I mean, it's true.
it's a lovely answer. Yeah, I mean, again, sure, a sort of mass blackpilling ritual, maybe, sure.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, like you just got to keep your eye on the ball. Like, what is the practical outcome of this, and what can you do to
Yeah.
effectuate that practical outcome? And I'm with you 100%. Like, you start in your fucking home.
Yeah. So I kind of want to just go like Adrian. I've been listening to a bunch of podcasts. I've got like I was listening. I think I've listened to like six or seven of my usual because everybody's talking about this. So I
Yeah,
kind of just wanted to go through things that were brought up on other podcasts that since I didn't have time to dig in myself, and then Adrian, you can weigh in on stuff.
sure.
I also wanted to say, like, I'll try to remember where they came from. So, like, one of them was Mike Benz on Joe Rogan, which was a real good one. And the main point from him was he doesn't think that the Epstein thing was a big blackmail ring because with something like this, you could only blackmail one person once, and then everybody would know that you blackmailed them, and then you'd lose all your contacts and stuff. So I'm kind of like, I don't think it was just like, for me, I like for about a year or whatever, I've always thought the Epstein stuff, or not always, for a year, whatever. Anyways, I think that the
It's
Epstein
been a
stuff
long
is,
time.
yeah, the thing I think it's for is it's all the weapons dealing and the technology dealing. Like in the Epstein files, there's this voice recording of Jeffrey Epstein explaining to Ehud Barak, who was the leader of Israel before, um, why did I forget this fucking demon's name all of a sudden? Who
Uh,
Netanyahu? I don't know why I fucking
yeah.
forgot that. So he was explaining to Ehud Barak in like 2014, 13, 15 in that area who Jeffrey Teal was and why he
Peter
should,
Thiel.
yeah, Peter Thiel, why he should get in line with him to
Mhm.
get into tech as he moves out of being in control of Israel. And then you see Israel take these leaps and bounds in tech. So it's obvious that Ehud Barak got in touch with Peter Thiel. And then like terrifying examples of this is like the Lavender AI, which they use to figure out who to target in Gaza. And then you have like all of their fucking like AI targeting systems, like Operation Daddy's Home, where they would like from the targets they got from Lavender AI, the AI would figure out when they were home and then they would bomb their fucking residential areas to make sure that they got them asleep in their beds with their families. So that's just like a tiny small sampling of what Peter Thiel could have provided to Israel at all the bigger shadow government that we don't even know about. So they could have these tools on all of us. And then you get into scary stuff like Palantir, like how they want to combine all of our information, which at first I was like, whatever, why would I care about if the fucking social insurance company can see my driver's license company number? But it's not that they can see each other, it's that someone can see them all and use AI to figure it all out.
Of course, and then also that all of your information, your very identity, your entire history is now mutable. It can be changed.
Hmm.
It can be you can be accused of anything. I think that's one of the things I would drive me nuts. For years I've heard people argue, and it's the most glib and pathetic argument, against increasing surveillance, whether it's through
Hmm.
social media or whatever else. Like, well, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to worry about. I'm like, for fuck's sakes, it doesn't matter if you have anything to hide. They will
Yeah.
manufacture, fabricate anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like pretty obvious that can be done now. How easily that can be done.
And
And
yeah.
and furthermore, let me tell you a quick anecdote on all of that. I
Okay.
was just before we got on the air here. There's a really interesting guy on YouTube. He goes under the name Interesting Books Reviewed,
Hmm.
and he's older fella out of Texas. Older, he's like probably my age, probably younger actually. And
That's
he
older.
just yeah, and he's nuts. I love it. He's not nuts. He's anything but nuts. In fact, he's very smart because he manages to sort of circumvent all the algorithms and talk about parapolitics, as we now like to call it.
What's that?
Parapolitics is the polite way I mean, if someone calls you a conspiracy theorist, which is a fucking low down smear, you come back with, no, I'm interested in parapolitics. It's the politics
Ooh,
that
sounds
is
smart.
occluded it's the stuff we're talking about,
Nice.
right? Regularly. And he covers it, and he's very, very well read. I really enjoy his show because he's got all the books that either I have or I want, and he knows he knows his shit. And he revealed today that at some point in the recent past, he had been driving through New Mexico and realized he was near the Zorro Ranch and persuaded his family to like, let's go just check it out. And flew a drone over it and he shows the footage and it took about 10 seconds. And I think this was after Epstein was dead. um, a red truck comes screaming out of the property in pursuit, right? So they're
Oh
onto him
yeah.
immediately.
I was gonna say
But
fly a
then
drone over Zorro Ranch. Are you
then he does it.
crazy?
Then he does it again, and that's when the real shit happened. And suddenly, his business took a huge dive,
Oh
and he was
yeah.
losing clients all over the place. Inexplicably, his YouTube channel disappeared. He started getting fucked with.
Yeah.
He started getting fucked with, and yeah, I mean, how would they even know who he is? Like, it's very obvious how, and that is the power of this technology. And once it's deployed, you're fucked. You're fucked.
Hmm.
And all they're doing with this guy is sending him a warning. That's it.
Yeah, they ruined his life. Hey, that's your shot across the bow is you don't get to make money anymore. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And
Um,
that was for, being curious.
yeah.
Being curious.
I
Uh,
hate to oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say about the whole like people like if you don't do anything wrong, don't worry about it. I hate to keep referring to Joe Rogan, but back when we found out that the NSA was like basically reading everybody's fucking emails and they kept them, he said it doesn't matter if you're not doing anything. They have all this history so that if they eventually find a reason to get rid of you, like your guy, he flew a drone, then they just go back through your NSA files and they find
Yeah.
different stuff. Like they find your businesses, they find your clients, and they lean on them because it's like, even if you don't do anything bad, the people who use you for, who pay your paychecks or like give you money as clients, they might do something bad and they might get blackmailed into leaving you. And this was all fucking scary enough when you think of like an FBI agent just fingering through your files and looking at your past. But now they don't even need a guy to do it. They just get the fucking AI to go through your entire past, link things that don't necessarily link up, and then just like
Yeah.
do a modern blackballing of society.
Yeah, I mean, there's any number of scenarios we can imagine where this is just something that just needs to be taken outside and shot dead, like right
Hmm.
now, like fucking kill it. It's
Yeah.
bad. It's bad for society. It's bad for humanity.
Turn
But
off AI. I don't care. Turn it off.
yeah, turn it off. But yeah,
What?
yeah, I don't know. I think, to get back to the Mike Benz thing, no, I disagree. I think blackmail, I don't think it works as in that simplistic way that he might have
That's
described it,
true.
the way that you're conveying it. But I only think, in fact, I think it was maybe the smaller part of the operation.
Oh, yeah.
If one of the things that's emerged or from this data dump or emerged is the wrong word. One of the things that has been confirmed, I guess, is
Yeah.
that uh, this industrial sized operation, like many intelligence operations, has multiple uses.
Hmm.
And so it veers off into all sorts of weird directions. And speaking of the Zorro Ranch, there's the eugenics side of it. And
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't know how much attention you've paid to the how do you put this? Epstein and his colleagues, their deep, deep, deep hatred of the Goyim.
Yeah. Oh, and this like remember a couple weeks ago we were talking about the Chinese billionaire who was using American surrogates?
Mm.
How would we even know if Epstein was doing this? Because I didn't like
Well,
up until
he was definitely baby farming. We know that now.
yeah. And another scary thing is like you hear about bear baby farming. Was it parapolitical? When you there's like
Yeah,
stuff
parapolitics.
where you hear about like during the World's Fairs and stuff, and like there's these big weird like parapolitical theories where like the royals used to have baby farms, and that's who like that's why in the Industrial Evolution all these factories were like being like they're being run by kids like that like during like the turn of the century Industrial Revolution, all the factories were filled with kids doing all the work and stuff, and the theory is that those kids came from baby farms, and like each basic royal house, like the King of England, the King of Germany, the King of France, they all had like their own baby farm with like 1,500 people and stuff.
Mm.
So if you like hear about that theory and then you hear Epstein was also baby farming, it's like it just like it might not be true, but it doesn't kick off your bullshit meter. And that's like the scariest thing about all this Epstein stuff is you hear about these other guys and us eventually we'll talk about stuff that's in there. You hear them talk about it and you're not immediately like that's fucking crazy, that's stupid, that's bullshit. You're like, I could see it. Like Epstein had a baby farm. You're not like that's bullshit. You're like,
Well,
well, yeah, he probably
there's
would.
plenty of witness testimony now.
Yeah. And
But
even if you didn't know the witness testimony, like you go up to an average person on the like on the street and you're like, "Hey, Epstein had a baby farm," and they're like, they might at first be like, "That's too crazy to be real," but they're like, "This Epstein guy and everything I've heard about it, and that's probably true."
well, I think this whole thing is recalibrating our bullshit meters. Like even my friends would disagree, but I do try to be skeptical, and I've maybe have accepted more than like, again, many of my friends over the years.
You mean convinced by the facts?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, but you do develop some discernment. Like, I think my nose is pretty good, pretty good.
Hmm.
I'm going to get it wrong. We're all going to get it wrong once in a while. But yeah, things that were beyond the pale or considered beyond the pale 2 weeks ago maybe aren't. No, they're no longer considered that. Having said that. Oh, and one thing I will, before I go on, anybody at this point in history who is denying the fucking, not just the reality, but the epidemic incidence of satanic ritual abuse just needs to, you're benched. Like,
Oh yeah.
your opinion does not matter anymore. You're an idiot. I mean, this is a personal thing for me because I've been arguing. This is a decades long argument for me. Of course,
Oh
it's
yeah.
real.
Like Satanic Panic in the 80s. Like I still have conversations with people and they're like, that was all face false. You're like, no, most of it was probably true, but they fucking poisoned the well by saying it was all fake and then getting some outlandish stuff so that you would like in your brain you'd be like, oh, they faked this in the 80s. It's not real now.
And
Meanwhile,
then
they've been it's
sorry,
been
go ahead.
true the whole time.
The coup de grace being that the cohort that needed to be convinced and that internalized this uh, lie is, hipsters, middle class, educated people,
Hmm.
professional people, the people who really are sort of the engines of culture and who have the sort of the cultural and certainly the political hegemony, right? To them, it is all it's salacious and sleazy and nonsense, and they will not give it a moment's
Hmm.
attention. It's immediately dismissed. And on that note, like it only took, I mean, just yesterday, a dear friend in Vancouver who I've had, a very, very long and friendly, let's call it dialogue with
Hmm.
about the subjects that you and I tend to be interested in. And he sends me this thing, it's some guy on TikTok, some bearded hipster, solemnly explaining with sublime certainty that we can't get too carried away with this Epstein stuff.
Oh, can't we?
And because, I mean, really, it's normies who have their own conspiracy theory. Like, I mean, I've already heard it. Like, well, the files aren't real. Really, they manufactured 3 million fucking files like this? Is that what
Yeah.
they did? That's a fucking conspiracy theory, my friend, and a really
Although
dumb one.
one thing I want to point out for that is I don't think the file release is fake, but there are definitely people out there trying to fake it. So
Totally.
if you hear us or someone else talking about it, the best people will give you the reference file number. But if you don't believe us or something seems fishy, like there was that picture of like frozen chicken on a cutting board,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
that was fake.
It's going to be
And
misrepresented. Yeah. And yeah, the nose
so just
knows. I mean,
search stuff and go to the files, search. Like somebody said, the best way is if you see someone talking about a file and they have like one sentence or a paragraph, just go to the files
yeah.
on the DOG website, search that sentence, and if it's true, it'll pop up and you can read it.
Yeah, and always check context but yeah, the nose knows. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's about intuition, I believe, and you don't have to be right every time, but and then don't lose sight of the bigger picture. The bigger picture is all this stuff is real. It's
Hmm.
it's 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 very real. It is inconceivable wealth in the service of unthinkable depravity.
Yeah, and one another example of like what could be like there are some because some of the Epstein files were like an open tip line for the FBI. Oh, that's another thing I want to mention before we go too further is this is just the FBI files. There's no CIA files that we have access to. The law that they
Yeah,
passed to get the files released, that's only the FBI's side. So
yeah,
like another thing Mike Benz was saying is like you gotta urge Like with the JFK files, the latest ones that came out, those were these CIA files. That's why we
Mhm.
finally got some new stuff after 60 years.
Yeah.
So we're going to need them to push forward with the CIA releasing their files, which I kind of don't want to know because of all the alphabet agencies, CIA's the big bad demon ones. So they're going to have some shit that I mean, I don't want to see the pictures, but I want to know that those pictures exist and we need to know that they exist. But what I was trying to say was there are like since there was an FBI tip line, there are examples like if you Google Donald Trump, for example, Jimmy Dore was talking about this. There is examples of people talking about Donald Trump allegedly raping someone, but those are from the caller who called into the tip line said they heard it from someone who claimed to be a victim. So you're already at third party status, which I'm not saying that makes it untrue. I'm just saying you can't legally go forward with that.
You're right.
Like,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I called the tip line and I was like, this guy was telling me this crazy story
Yeah.
about how he was molested as a kid and stuff, and this is the person who did it, these are the dates that happened, that's inadmissible in court because that's hearsay.
Yeah,
So,
this is the thing, and I don't I do certainly do not know enough about the prosecutability of anything that's out there, right?
mhm.
It's I don't know how the law. What I do know is that certainly in the States and increasingly in Canada, the law will be bent and contorted in such a way that no one will ever get.
Yeah.
No one will ever. One guy, Prince Andrew, will get thrown under the bus again. It's that kind of thing, right?
Oh,
One
he's not
person.
even a prince anymore. I don't even
Well,
think we're
yeah,
allowed to
sorry.
call him
I'm sorry. I
Andrew
mean,
anymore.
William or Andrew, what's his chops?
Westinghouse or
Windsor.
something?
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck his weird name is.
The Fergie's, by the way, Fergie's emails to Jeffrey Epstein are among the most pitiful things I've ever seen in my life. And it seems like she's literally offering up her children at one point. But
Oh, poor
but
Fergie.
then she has a little crying jag because I guess he at some point dismissed her. He was done with her, and she was quite hurt, and didn't understand why her fucking child raping friend had suddenly excommunicated her
Yeah, how
and
could he
actually wrote
use
something
me?
like I guess I'm no longer of use to you or something like that. And so I have a personal animus directed towards the royal family, being that I grew up partly in the UK, and I was there for the royal wedding, and
Yeah.
I'm no defender of any of them, and I'm not even a defender of Diana, although, but I mean, I'll tell you straight up, of course she was fucking assassinated. You've got to be fucking retarded to not see that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Oh,
I want to
she
say one more thing, by the way, and you can find this on X, and this really shook me. There was a video, and I think it was a Belgian, most likely Belgian banker who had gotten quite far in the industry and then became a whistleblower. And there's an interview with him, and this is just this pertains to the question of what's real and what isn't real. He talks about what as he ascended through the institutions and got further access into the sort of the deep chambers of international finance in Europe, which is a big part of this story.
which
Uh,
our premier was heading when he was running the
oh
Bank of
yes,
England, by the
oh
way.
yeah, yeah. Well, fuck, that's a whole other. Ugh. But
Yeah.
he blew the whistle, and there's an interview with him, and he talks about what he saw and how he had to walk away. I mean, he got away with his life, but basically, it's like, okay, you want to be one of us, do this. And the way he breaks down as he's telling this story, it cannot be faked. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
it was one of those moments where I'm like, no, there's just no ambiguity here. This is a person who saw the worst thing in the world, was permitted to see it, and did the right thing, I guess. And
I can't believe they let him live.
that's the thing. I mean, but maybe because the whole thing is so multifaceted. Like maybe you let somebody live to tell the story because you
That's
do want
true.
people to know. You do want people to know. I've said this to you a million times. Why do they blow Kennedy's head off in broad daylight? Because they want you to know.
Yeah. You know, they want you to know you can be touched pretty much.
They
Like the
want you to know
Charlie Kirk
that you
thing.
have no power, and so
Yeah.
again, this also speaks to the whole blackpilling thing. Like you demoralize people enough, and nothing ever changes.
Yeah.
There's a part of me, there's a fucking little. part of my soul that believes that that does not happen because humans are more resilient than that. And maybe I have
Hmm.
a Pollyannish faith in the spirit, the human spirit, in the soul, but I keep coming back to this idea. No, nature wins, humanity wins.
Hmm.
We're not, we can't be crushed.
Yeah, that's true. Um, should we start
Yeah,
going through act? Okay,
sure.
so
Yeah.
on Tucker Carlson, he interviewed Ian Carroll, which I know,
Yeah,
I
come
know.
on.
Come on, just Ian Carroll does make a lot of good points. He has a lot of good research. And a lot of the time when he's wrong, he says he's wrong, which is one of the aspects I respect the most out of people, especially influencers, that if they're wrong, they don't double down. They're like, hey, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I got the wrong facts. And I'm updating my opinion now, which Tim Pool could probably use a lesson from. Anyways, so Tucker Carlson was talking about Ian Carroll, and Tucker Carlson decided that instead of trying to talk about everything in the files, he wanted to talk about the Pizzagate aspect of it
Right.
because it's not saying that Pizzagate was real explicitly. There's just some weird shit in there. Like one of the things is Epstein had a urologist. Okay, get this, a dick doctor, and his name is Harry Fish. That makes it just sound like a movie. What the fuck? Anyways, that's what I get. That's the stuff I get hung up on. That's probably why I shouldn't go through these files. Is I'll see a name like Harry Fish and a dick doctor. I'm like, that's it. The rest of the day's gone. I'm just gonna think about jokes.
Like when I
Anyways,
found out the last Hitler in America, his name was Gay Hitler and he was a dentist. There's a topic we should cover one day. Dentists. What the fuck is with dentists and
no
Epstein?
thanks.
Just dentists generally.
It's
But
already
anyway,
horrible enough to get them to fix my teeth. I don't want to like think about them shoving their hairy fish thing into my mouth while I'm on.
anyway, Gay
Okay.
Hitler's real. Look it up, but do go on.
So
Yeah, Pizzagate.
so Harry Fish, the urologist, they sent emails back and forth, and and like apparently Epstein had ED. I guess I don't know. The trauma was too much, and he couldn't get it up. So Harry Fish is like the emails are back. I don't know if they're emails or text messages, but Epstein's like, I need a new prescription for dick pills, and Harry Fish is like, okay, go to this pharmacy and get them. And then Epstein's like, they say I need a note from you. And then Harry Fish is like, okay, you should be able to get them. And then Epstein's like, they say you need to come in to get them. And then Harry Fish is like, no, it's okay now. And then he says the weirdest thing is like, after you get your ED pills, let's go. Sorry, excuse me.
Let's
They're
go for
like, let's
pizza
go
and
get
soda.
pizza and grape soda,
Yeah.
which two adults drinking grape soda is weird enough. I mean, it's delicious, don't get me wrong. But the term pizza and grape soda shows up multiple times. So it's code word for something, and we don't know what it is. And the other thing is, why would you need your dick to work to eat pizza and drink grape soda? I mean, that should be your eat. No, like grape soda, like it's just one of those things that doesn't prove Pizzagate's real, but it does just show you that they're talking about pizza like Pizzagate is real.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
then,
if you want,
yeah,
I think all you need to do is like, okay, do a word search, do pizza, and see what comes up, I mean, and you'll see.
yeah. And another
What?
thing
Yeah,
that's all weird is remember when like it was the Podesta emails that fucking WikiLeaks let out from John
yeah,
Podesta where the Pizzagate actually happened, and then
yeah.
some guy, what was it, Cosmic Pizza?
There
Like
was
this,
Comet's Pizza.
so this guy goes in. I had Cosmic Ping Pong written down. Like, anyways, that's
Yeah,
how I'm ill prepared. So Comet Pizza, this guy goes there and he shoots up the place with an AR-15,
yeah.
but
What does he hit?
one bullet magically goes through the hard drive of Comet Pizza, which is like in Washington, D.C. And the whole thing was these people were going there and they're talking about having like $10,000 hot dogs. And, oh, I hope the pizza's warm for me. Oh, and if you're brand new to the whole pizza thing, it's because cheese pizza was supposedly term for child porn. So pizza became term for like child stuff. And so, anyways, this guy who shot up Comet Pizza, he just died like a little while ago in North Carolina. He was in a traffic stop, and the cops were like, "He's reaching for a gun," and then they just like did what cops do when you reach for a gun, and they killed him. And
Hmm.
that's from Tucker Carlson. So you hear stuff like that, and you're like, "Well, I never thought Pizzagate was false anyway." Like the whole thing came down to like oh, they said Comet Pizza doesn't even have a basement where they said all this abuse happened. And you're like, who said that? A guy who works at Comet Pizza? Oh, okay, let's believe him. Nobody has secret basements anywhere in the world,
Oh yeah,
let
no,
alone,
the Pizzagate. I worked hard to dismiss it, and in the end couldn't.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, and it's and then you just look at all the like ambient the epiphenomena of it all. Look at the fucking Podesta's art collection. Look at all of
Yeah.
it. You know, like I mean, how much more circumstantial evidence does one need? And until you're just a fucking flat out coincidence theorist, and
Yeah.
that's the last thing you want to be.
And
Yeah,
the thing that makes anybody a conspiracy theorist, in my opinion, is having a memory that lasts more than 5 years.
yeah, that's
Because
right.
if you remember what they told you 5 years ago and you compare it to now, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
And like this whole Pizzagate thing, like the Podesta emails, do you remember how they got rid of that? They started Russiagate because they said that
yeah.
Russians were the ones who like got into Hillary's computers and got the emails between her and
Oh,
Podesta.
I remember it well. I remember again, like fucking, my liberal friends screaming at me, "What about her emails?" again and again and again,
And
and
that,
and not to mention like how the fucking fights I had with people when I worked at a newspaper
yeah.
over Russiagate. It was, and again, I'm the conspiracy theorist. Russiagate is the dumbest fucking conspiracy theory in history.
And it's been proven wrong multiple times. And they don't
Yeah.
want to admit it. And this is
Well, so
why.
now there is actually an effort to make the Epstein dump look like Russian disinformation.
Mhm.
It's failing,
Yeah,
thank.
like they're saying Putin was a client of Epstein or whatever.
Yeah,
But the fucking like if Bill Gates teaches us anything, it's that Russian prostitutes will give you an STD. But the my opinion, the only way Putin is attached to the Epstein files was the Russian prostitutes and how he was like you can't just have an American be like, "Hey, can I have 10 Russian prostitutes flown to my island without greasing Putin's palms?" I think that's in my totally like
that that's
unvalified opinion, that's
you're
how
right,
Putin was
right.
into this.
Yeah, I don't know, but I just for the record, let it be said, let it be known that it is possible. This is hard for the average, well-educated liberal person to get, but you can hold two thoughts in your head at once that might
Hmm.
seem contradictory. And just because I think RussiaGate's bullshit, and that also Russia has the right to defend itself in Ukraine,
Yeah, and
that
that's
doesn't
another thing
mean
is
that doesn't mean I like Putin.
weird things like the Ukraine. I didn't like get too much
Jeffrey
into it,
Epstein,
but
how can we profit from Ukraine?
yeah, there was like somebody was like, if there was a war in Ukraine, it would profit us well. And then in 2014, there was the whole like revolution that got their government put in and all this stuff,
Yeah,
and how Kamala Harris actually kind of provoked was like the straw that broke the camel's back was when she was in Munich. She spoke and said that the U.S. would always back Ukraine and for Putin to step back. And then 5 years later, the war start or 5 days later, the war started. So that's all crazy. And then
yeah.
speaking of Bill Gates, one
Fuck.
thing that came out is that he's a scumbag, which we already knew, and he was but now he's like personally and romantically a scumbag as aside from just like a monopolist. So what happened was, um, I guess also take this with a grain of salt because it was an email that Epstein made in his drafts and didn't actually send, but he was talking about how Bill Gates was asking him for chlamydia medication so that he could slip it to his wife so that she wouldn't find out that Bill Gates got chlamydia from the previously mentioned Russian hookers.
Mm.
And
Yeah. And she was asked about that. Did you watch the interview with
yeah, they're like,
Melinda?
how, but they asked it in like kind of way. They're like, what are your feelings when you hear something like
Yeah, I
that?
know.
And she's like, well, my feelings were hurt, so move on. But she
Yeah.
wasn't like, she never said if it was true or not, or if,
Yeah, I mean, so no sympathy for Melinda Gates here, but yeah, I mean, she married the fucking guy.
and the best part or the joke about it is on the boys podcast with Ryan Long, he was like, Bill Gates is this smart and he's raw dogging Russian prostitutes.
Yeah.
Like you
Ryan
could be
Long's good.
you could be dumb enough to have sex with Russian, but raw dogging? Like, what are you thinking? Also, like, this is the guy who wanted to like put aluminum particles in our atmosphere to counteract global warming, and he's getting chlamydia from Russian prostitutes.
Yep.
Like, this is the guy who's trying to vaccinate all the teenage women in Africa
Yep.
against diseases, and he gets an STD from a Russian prostitute because he's so dumb that he didn't put a wrapper on his hog. And he's like 60. Who has a sex drive to fuck Russian prostitutes raw dog? I mean, actually, that's the one point it makes sense is that since he's 60 and his dick barely works, I could see how putting in a condom would just kill the erection immediately.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
But
Uh,
if your
I saw
erection can be
somebody.
killed by a condom, it's a good sign that you shouldn't be doing what you're doing because you're not hard enough to carry through with it.
Somebody did mention on Twitter, and I thought it was cogent and incisive. Just it's astonishing to find that like these very 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 perverted people, they will carry their perversions on right through to the end of their life. And I'll tell you something. I know a lot of people who work in care homes here on my island and or at the care home, and then there's a lot of because there's a lot of old people here, and then there are private care workers, and fucking hell, man, old men, they don't stop being horny. They
Oh
have
yeah.
they're riddled with dementia, but or whatever. They're fucking still getting boners and grabbing women and doing like that impulse seems to not go away. I think Jimmy Savile was probably going down on dead children up until his dying day.
Jesus.
I don't want to
And
be, that was really that I don't want to be that flip about it. I'm sorry.
mhm.
I don't know what else to do sometimes though. But I mean, there's that's to give it if anybody is listening at all, but but those who are, if you want a sense of just how uh unthinkably depraved all of this is, that's a real thing. Jimmy Savile was that's what we're talking about. That's what we're
Mhm.
talking about. Like and necrophilia performed on children is the lighter side of it. I mean,
Jesus.
it's that fucking
Is that
awful.
what Savile did?
Yeah, he was a necrophile.
Oh, I just heard. I thought he was touching kids. I didn't hear like
Oh,
that
he was doing
part.
all of it. Yeah, I mean, he was doing that
Oh,
too. But yeah, no, I
yuck.
think the full spectrum of his perversity is would you can like I said, you think you can think of the worst thing, and then you
Yeah.
realize, oh no, I actually there's worse than that even.
I mean, we should bring back stoning. That's all I think. Like, not
It
even
does
like
it does
nice
like
capital
it just
punishment.
brings up this biblical rage in me. What do we do with these people? Like
Stone
as
them.
a
That's like I was like
make
punch
them
them till they're
suffer.
dead. Like get a
Yeah.
bunch of like 10 men to just punch them till they're dead, but then you hurt your fists. I say we bring back stoning for people like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like not even a firing squad. That's too good for them. I was
So
thinking like cut him in half with a sword, but just like right at the waist,
Death
cut him
by
in
a
half.
thousand cuts or something really, really long and
Yeah.
painful. You
Bring
ever see the
all the
movie?
torture shit that they do on people and do it to them type of
You ever
deal.
see the movie Martyrs?
No,
Uh,
I'm not a horror guy anymore. Like
okay.
one thing that happened with all like with this like reading about CIA and World War II and all that shit that they did is I can't handle like watching movies about that stuff because it's like real to me and I was like this probably actually happened, so this is gross.
Not to
Like
mention that Epstein client Michael Bay was actually was fictionalizing and depicting things that were real. By the way, we talked about it last week or whatever.
ugh.
The island is real.
Like that movie The Road, did you watch
Yeah,
that or read the
yeah. No, I
book?
didn't watch the movie. I read the book.
That scene in the movie where they're like because the whole horror of the thing is it's in the future and the world's dying or whatever from a big fire. They don't explain it in the movie, so I don't know because I'm not going to read the book because the
Mm.
movie ruined my life. But
Yeah,
there's a scene where they fall into this basement and there's feral people in there because the
yeah.
like cannibalists keep them in there and they're just basically acting like cattle and screaming and that just like ruined my life not because that was horrifying and that was bad, but it ruined my life because like this will probably happen in the future and I definitely have to make sure I don't end up in that basement.
Yes, yes, right. That's how I felt about Children of Men. Children of Men really got to me.
Which
You ever
one?
see that?
Yeah.
Does it
No,
with
I
Clive
know the
Owen?
movie and I know what it's about. I'm just trying to think of the horrible stuff from that
Well,
aside from,
there's a moment where because they're all sort of Clive Owen joins the rebellion or whatever, this sort
yeah.
of radical dissident group, and they're tracked down by the state, and some of them end up in this, yeah, it's like a processing center for political prisoners, and it's just very, very uh powerfully depicted. And
Yeah.
at that point, you have some sympathy for these characters, so it hits really hard. But yeah. Anyway, what was your next?
Okay,
Let's move on
I
to
want to take it to a
Tucker.
lighter note, which
Sure.
I'm gonna say the name Woody Allen, and you're like, lighter
Oh,
note? That guy is a scumbag, and he is. And we're not gonna talk about Su Yin Lee or whatever his kid's name was that he married, who wasn't actually his because it was his wife's and she had adopted her before he.
nice.
Anyways, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about what he did to his own kids. We're gonna talk about this is another thing from the Boys podcast with Ryan Long is Woody Allen very interested in getting an iPhone X, which I think is funny that it comes up because so Epstein was like, "Hey Woody, I got you this phone." Like they're sending emails back and forth, and Woody Allen's like, "Oh, thank you so much. It's good to find." And it's like, what the fuck, Woody Allen? You can't get your own iPhone X? You need Epstein to get it for you? Like, also, you're gonna trust Epstein to just give you your phone to be like, hey, I loaded up all these apps. Don't bother looking at them. None of them are spyware or anything, but just, yeah. Don't uninstall any of the apps that are on there either. It's all just to make your life easier. And, oh, here's a brand new iPhone X. It's like $1,000, Woody. You can't afford it? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, but I mean, I think my impression of Woody Allen is that he's 90, right? And he
Yeah.
doesn't he's got babysitters that do everything for him.
Hmm.
So yeah, it makes sense to me that does he really care that he's got a phone? No, I think he just likes to go around for pizza, but
Yeah.
um, that so he'll take what he can get. But
Hmm. And I guess
well, as you were
iPhone,
saying that, it did occur to me. It's funny that like somewhere in the region of Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan apartment and Woody Allen's Manhattan apartment, there is Thomas Pynchon's Manhattan apartment, and he's right in the belly of the beast once again. If all of these people are the demons demons of humanity made manifest, Thomas Pynchon is the conscience. He's the angel, and he's there too.
yeah.
Anyway, that's all. Yeah, Woody Allen. Fuck Woody Allen.
Yeah. And then
Fuck Woody Allen.
the next point is a more esoteric, weird view. So if you've come along on the conspiracy theorists or you watched Eyes Wide Shut, you know that the fucking song Somewhere Over the Rainbow has deep MK Ultra ties and could be like a reprogramming, like when they like psychologically wear you down and they're reprogramming you to be like a sleeper agent and all this stuff. Like there's all this stuff that they say about Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And then there's this weird email that someone wrote to Epstein about Somewhere Over the Rainbow, saying how when it was written in the 20s, it was written by these two Jewish guys. I can't remember their
Yip
names. Sorry.
Harburg was one of them. A fellow
Yeah.
by the name of Yip Harburg.
And she was like explaining how Somewhere Over the Rainbow, the song that it was written for Wizard of Oz, right?
I think it was. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it
in
was.
like the 1920s. And she was saying how it was written and it could just be a metaphor for the plight of the Jewish people with like the Holocaust and going over the rainbow and meeting your friends there and all this stuff. And how, and weirdly, we colloquial refer to someone dying as going over the rainbow to our toddler just so she could get the concept of never being able to see this person or this animal again. So it's just like a weird thing that they're like actively talking about what, like it's not just like me and Adrian in our basements like hypothesizing what Over the Rainbow means and why it shows up in Eyes Wide Shut as the costume shop. It's like people are actually talking about what it means and why it was written and put in and all that stuff. But the that's more like the entrance to a rabbit hole that shows up that you can just go dive down if you want to.
Yeah. What exactly are you saying about it? It comes up in a
Yeah, some lady wrote Epstein an email explaining how she liked the song Over the Rainbow and how it was actually, and she explains like the deep Jewish ties to the song and how it like describes the plight, and then
right.
like how it's just like a kind of like a reference, more kind of like esoteric references to what how Eyes Wide Shut might have been a real story type of deal, if you want to get
Yeah.
into all that.
Well, there was I was there was one email that came up. Who the hell was it now? I can't remember, but asking Jeffrey, it was something like, I've got a real taste for this now, looking for more high level, eyes wide shut style parties.
Woof. I mean,
Uh,
if you're just wearing a mask and having an orgy, like that's fine. Do that. You're consenting adults. The only problem
right,
is
for sure, but
most of
we
those,
we we know, and we can certainly infer from that one email that they aren't just wearing robes and having orgies.
yeah, it's true.
They're not. That would be okay.
But in the
I got
movie
nothing
Eyes
against
Wide
that.
Shut, it was just all adults, which was nice of Stanley Kubrick to share us all that, or to spare us that.
Until the very final scene, but there's a big
Yeah,
argument about that now.
yeah, that's a
Um,
bummer.
yeah, yeah. Next,
Just like,
it's really bugging me that this light's streaming in. This is my new office.
yeah, and it's got like weird shadows on your face, like it's through tree branches or
Yeah,
something.
I know. Yeah,
That's a
that's
nice
exactly what it is.
office.
Yeah, I know it is, isn't it?
Ooh.
It's my kid's bedroom.
Oh,
But now, because one of my kids is left home, so the boy, he inherited the girl's bedroom, which is
oh,
across the
okay.
way here, and then I get this place because
If you're just
before.
watching this, Adrian has lots of smart guy stuff in his office, including I'm assuming those are LPs behind you on that
No,
shelf.
no, that's the DVD Blu-ray wall.
Oh, okay. I can fuck with DVDs and Blu-rays. Nice.
Got a lot of Jess Franco in there. Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, that's is that better? That's better.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, next.
Oh, back to Woody Allen. There's like an email where Epstein is very interested if Woody Allen got his bistro chairs. And he's
Oh
trying to make
yeah.
sure he got his bistro chairs that were
Uh-huh.
ordered off Amazon and they were like
Yes.
20 grand or whatever,
Yeah.
which is funny because we all know the whole thing with Wayfair where like if you don't know what happened was Wayfair was this thing happened with Wayfair where you could order like some run-of-the-mill garage racking system, but it was like
Yes.
30 grand and it was called Ashley. So there was a conspiracy theory that popped up was
I should
you would
laugh.
pay for this and then you'd get like a kid
Yeah.
on the side, like, and not like they were shoving the kids in the boxes and mailing them out, but
And
just
what?
like it was like a child trafficking forefront. But like,
Well, like talk man, you can be a normie and still accept that, shipping containers sometimes contain people.
oh yeah. And the
Uh,
thing is, like,
by the way, when I was watching that interesting books reviewed guy earlier, just before
yeah,
we got on the pod, and the first commercial that comes on, because it's on YouTube, it
yeah.
was for Wayfair.
Oh, geez.
I know. I
Yikes.
laughed.
Yeah. And like, what it could be is just it's money laundering. Like you pay 30 grand for something that costs 200 bucks just so you can get rid of like get your fake drug money into the whatever. Just like that might be it too. But so anyways, like these bistro chairs off Wayfair, they were really worried about Epstein. And I don't know
Yeah, I
what
know that
happened.
was very curious, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's lots of that. There's lots of, and okay, so the human capacity to find intrigue in the most mundane stuff,
Hmm.
that's real. We all do it, but when it's like just there's 3 million examples of it,
Yeah.
you're like, at a certain point, you're like, oh, well, maybe there's some truth to this. But
Yeah.
yeah, the bistro chairs thing is strange.
Hmm.
Very strange. The
Oh,
the the very banal sort of emails back and forth. I know you didn't want to talk about Sunyi, but there was one quite poignant email that was brought up where I guess she was attacking a couple of Epstein victims and calling them spoiled and malicious and narcissistic and stuff. And it read like the words of someone who has been utterly fucking groomed.
Yeah, lateral
and
violence type of deal.
mind controlled to the hilt.
Like one thing I want to point out from my small understanding of psychological stuff is a lot of times people like Sun Yi who are victims will, instead of like admitting that something bad happened to them, they'll like try to fabricate a world in which what happened to them is normal so
Yes.
that they don't have to deal with the shame and unbearable like unfairness of the universe where something bad happens to them and not to other people. And this
Right.
is actually a lot of reasons why like child molesters like they continue on, and it's like this weird psychological thing where they're trying to like destroy innocence in the world so that the innocence that was destroyed in their world is less like less impactful and stuff. And this is also like why girls turn into, I guess, loose women after they have had SA happen on to them, so that they normalize a world where sex is like they also like it also tries to de like take the power out of sex by just
Hmm.
giving it away for free to everyone. So
Hmm.
it makes it less of a problem that something was taken from them if they just giving it away, and then it's just like this whole like mind warp thing where it's like it's a way.
Where you change what's normal.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I think that's what Sun Yi was doing with these women.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah,
Mhm.
and it is a very. I think it's a very common. We've all experienced that. Just think of your
Yeah.
most miserable friend, right? Well, on a much less disturbing level, like the most depressed guy you know. What's he do? He likes to make everybody else fucking. He'll bum you out.
Hmm.
That's what Debbie
Yeah.
Downer does. Wants everybody to be as bummed out as they are.
Yeah, like if
Like
misery
that.
loves company type of
Yeah.
deal. Yeah. Okay, the next thing. This is like a big one. This is a big bad, but this is another one where it was like someone like wrote into the tip line saying somebody had told them something, and that's adrenochrome.
Right.
So, and this is kind of weird because like the weird thing about this is black buckets. Like there was this thing like, and I think if you look like Jeffrey Epstein ordered some black buckets from China or something in the emails, but the whole point of it is they use black plastic buckets because white plastic buckets stain. And we're talking about the 40-gallon buckets, like those big plastic ones. I don't know, they're like yay big or whatever, and they're like filled with paint or cement or whatever. But you can go to like Home Depot and buy empty ones for whatever. So what they were saying is like the way that they would like get the adrenochrome blood out of these kids is like they'd scare them or torture them or whatever so that their blood is all amped up. And then they would sit on the black buckets on the lid or something, and then they would like bleed out, and then the blood would drip down the sides of the buckets into like the bucket below them or something. Like if you stack the buckets, like the liquid would run down one and into the other. And she was saying that they were doing this in the tunnels underneath Epstein's island, and that she noticed this because she saw blood on the back of like one of the boys' pants, and she was like, "What happened to your pants?" And then he explained this whole thing. And I don't know, like that's like a fucking weird thing, but it's one of those things where you're like, "Wow, from everything else we know, this isn't that dark." Or no, it's not that dark, sorry. It's not that
It's
inconceivable
not
anymore.
that far-fetched. I
And
know.
that's the true horror of our society now, is now that we know all this shit about Epstein, all these fucking horrors, like getting adrenochrome from kids and drinking it, doesn't seem too far-fetched anymore.
And not to repeat ourselves, but what if it's real or not? Doesn't matter. The point is doing it. The point is who does believe it? What
Hmm.
is why are these rituals happening? What do they mean to the people who are involved? Like it's the Satanism thing. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
if Satan is real or God is real. It doesn't matter. All you need is people who thinks that,
Yeah.
and
And
will will
exactly.
act
Like,
accordingly.
and if you want to get into like the whole spiritual thing with like energy and intentions and stuff, just the fact that you're putting these mental images in people's minds makes them real because they're going to think about them, and then that energy goes out into the universe and
Sure.
feeds whatever negativity. And like David, and Actually, the second craziest thing about this is the more we go into this, the more sane David Icke seems with his lizard people analogies and
Isn't
stuff.
it? Isn't it weird?
Oh my God. Yeah, and so it's like one of his big like theories is that they try to get people to feel bad so that you have low energy vibes, and that's what the lizard people feed on because those vibes go to the moon and then they go to Sat, which is like super crazy. I might have tried to explain this before, but basically what David Icke says is that lizard people are aliens and they turn Saturn into a bad vibe collector, and then people they send images or like bad vibe rays to the moon, which reflects on the earth, and they make us all feel bad and feel bad about ourselves, and then our bad vibes go up back to the moon and then back to Saturn, and then they eat the bad vibes or use them to like control their starships. I don't know the whole point, but the whole point is someone is making you feel bad because they feed off that energy.
Yeah.
And if that's true, this Epstein vibe, they just fucking powered their cities for another 100 years because we all
Yeah,
feel
that's
bad
right.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes you this is that moment for some people when you realize that Monsters Incorporated was is a really, really disturbing film.
And you just got to remember the end when they find out laughter powers even more.
That's right.
The next one is probably the most financial. Um, my fucking brain, like the thing that can affect our economic system the most.
Sure.
And that is some people are saying that Satoshi Nakamoto is actually Jeffrey Epstein. That the guy who made Bitcoin was actually Epstein with help from the CIA and other fucking big brain money guys.
Okay. So I'll say it right up front. I think crypto generally is one big psyop.
Dude,
And yeah,
I feel like
Bitcoin.
crypto from like the very first time someone explained to me, I was like, how could you trust that? Like, they're like,
Yeah.
we're getting rid of like paper money because you might not be able to use it for anything. So we're getting this like stuff that's made in a computer. I'm like, okay, how do they keep track of it? They're like, oh, every Bitcoin has like basically it's like a serial number. So you could tell where it goes and so you could tell who has it. And you're like, and nobody's afraid that like, how is this like,
Yeah, it's there's always been lots of questions. I mean, most people don't understand it, but that's not the point. The point is it's habituating us to the idea of digital currency. And
mhm.
what is every central bank talking about right now? What is every government
Digital
talking about
currency.
right now? Yes.
Like
So,
it's like if your paper money had a chip in it that tells you everywhere it went. So like if have 20 bucks in Bitcoin, like how is this anonymous? Like it's got a digital signature. It
yeah, no, it's
probably knows like it's probably especially now that we got these big server farms in AI, like, and it's funny because I feel like they're more and more that they set up all this technology before they had AI, hoping that they would get AI. Like maybe at one point Bitcoin could have been anonymous when it was basically too big like for variables for your computer to track. But now like AI could just look at Bitcoin and tell you everywhere it's been. But
sure.
and this
And
could
I
be
think
why Bitcoin just fucking had a huge dip.
I think Bitcoin absolutely emerged from the intelligence community. I think it was always a fishing exercise with a long view towards, as I said, habituating people to the idea of digital currencies.
Hmm.
And because those things come with levers, your digital wallet can be turned off. And that's again, not to fucking be boring about it, but that's the long game ultimately. It's like this reorganization of society, technocratic, top down. A form of totalitarianism that is digitally administered, digitally managed.
Hmm.
It's going to fail. I know that much. It is going to fucking fail, but it's going to be, it's going to take a while and it's going to be very painful in the
Hmm.
meantime. And so, that's why we have to listen to our sensible friends, the sensibles among
Yeah.
us, remind us with growing impatience that no, 15-minute cities aren't just some conspiracy theory, Adrian. It's good. It's good to have it. It's convenient and it's going to save the planet,
Okay.
right?
What happens when they won't let you drive through the check stops?
Who cares? Why worry about that now?
Why would
The
you
earth
need to
is
leave? You
burning.
got everything within 15 minutes, Adrian.
Wouldn't you like that? So, that's where it's all going. That's
Yeah.
where it's all going. It's not a fucking secret. They talk about it very
Hmm.
openly all the time.
Oh, and I just wanted to point out there, it's not in the Epstein files where it says Epstein is Satoshi Nakamoto. It's more like there's this one guy who is emailing Epstein and is like, "Hey, I know who could be Satoshi Nakamoto," and a lot of people are hypothesizing
Hypothesizing?
hypothesizing. This is why we can't do this so early. My brain doesn't work. But they're saying that like him saying he knows who it is just kind of like a hey, this'll throw him off the tracks, eh? If I say I know
Well,
who it is to the
there
guy
was
who I
one.
think it is.
There was one email that came out about where their Epstein is suggesting that they flood the zone with a lot of disinformation. I think it was around the time of the the Pizzagate thing.
Mm.
And at that point he'd already been arrested once there is in the files a lot of back and forth between him and others about how to restore the reputations of uh, people who have been
Oh yeah.
accused of the things Jeffrey Epstein was accused of.
Hmm.
Noam Chomsky was advising him, for instance, on how to
Yeah, that is fucking crazy.
restore his.
That must have destroyed so many boomers' hearts finding
Of
out
course it
that.
did. Now, I do know that Chomsky's wife put out a statement today that I haven't read yet. And I've only read the responses to it at this point. And it plays out predictably. I mean, there are people who, as you say, they're just the very idea of Noam Chomsky having feet of clay or being anything other than this hero to the intellectual left, although he was never that, by the way. He's never a fucking leftist, but whatever. They're gonna they of course are going to defend him to the end and others who've been highly skeptical of Chomsky for a long time. That I would be one of them. Are like, yeah, he's in the club. He's one of them.
Yeah.
Like he had a role to play. He did it well. He might even have believed in that role to some level, to some extent. But
And that's how you
doesn't
learn
matter.
to know about
He's
more.
still part of the game.
Uh, for the listener out there who doesn't know what the term feet of clay means, I mean, I obviously do because I'm a smart person and it's very obvious. But what's that mean?
It means that at the end of the day, you're a very flawed human. Your
Oh,
heroes are flawed.
okay. Sorry.
Yep.
Oh, I should have mentioned this next point back. This isn't really an Epstein file thing. It's more of like a weird coincidence thing. So Larry Salona is
Oh
a
yeah.
journalist.
Ah,
And if you watch Eyes Wide Shut, there's this part where Tom Cruise finds out that the woman he like that saved him basically at the party
yeah.
was this like um beauty pageant queen and stuff, and she was found dead. And then if you pause, you can read the article, and it's like a very real sounding article, and that's because it was written by an actual journalist named
No,
Larry
this is
Salona.
crazy making. This is
So
crazy making.
Kubrick went on, I think he was working at Washington Post at the time. He went out and he got this guy named Larry Salona to write an article about this beauty pageant. And then they actually put it in a paper that was actually in the movie. But the weird thing is, Larry Salona also wrote shit about Ghislaine Maxwell, and he was the guy who took the picture of Epstein's body when he was found dead. What the fuck?
I know it's
And this is like, I don't know. Like the thing is, you think about Kubrick putting this in the movie as a tip to the cap to be like, hey, here's a breadcrumb. Go fucking look. But you also got to think like, how did nobody pick up on this? Like, how did the people
oh
who edited it after his death and took out all the meat, how did they not just change the name?
yeah, yeah. Well, because they
Yeah.
weren't thorough enough, I guess.
I mean, I guess that affects the Epstein files because he's the guy who took the picture of the dead body. And he's like, and it's not just one or two articles. He's written like I guess in the extended Epstein universe, or however you want to think about this, he's like the journalist who's been telling the world about it.
Yeah, I know. It's like I said, it's crazy making. Have
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah.
listeners, look into that one. Or what about have you been paying attention to his Fortnite profile, his Fortnite account?
Larry Salonas?
No, 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 Epstein's.
Oh no, I didn't know. I know he
Oh yeah,
got banned
very
off
very
Xbox
active
Live.
after his death.
Oh yeah, they're saying that he had multiple accounts and one of his accounts is active in Israel. So even death couldn't stop Jeffrey Epstein from playing Fortnite. But a funny thing was back in Xbox 360 when it was the fucking wild west of Xbox Live, when you could say basically anything before, like now if you call someone names too much you get banned, and they're very aware of how troubling it was. But back in 360, like this is like the year 2007 to 2010-ish when it first started, like people were very offensive with their language on that chat system, and he got banned from that chat system for his language and what he was saying to people.
Uh-huh.
Now some people might say because him and Bill Gates had a falling out, and Bill Gates owns Microsoft, and Microsoft owns Xbox. That maybe it was a hey, we're kick because Epstein is a gamer apparently, was maybe is.
Yeah, yeah,
He's this
ardent
huge
gamer.
gamer who played a lot of Call of Duty, I guess. Um, maybe Bill Gates was just like ban him from that so that he can't play against other people live, or it was like maybe he
Dude,
gets
who
angry and he
knows?
spills the secrets, like some kid kills him in Call of Duty and he's like, I got an island I want to show you type of deal as a threat. Maybe they were like, oh, we got to back off of this and stuff.
Maybe it was a communication channel and everything was code. Who knows?
That's true.
But
Maybe they're talking about peanuts and grape sodas.
here's an under-examined side effect of this latest tranche of documents.
Yeah.
Who have you noticed who is not being talked about at all right now?
Joe Biden.
Ghislaine.
Oh yeah.
She's right there.
Yeah, I mean,
And the reason I'm thinking of this is because I mean, this has been known for quite a long time, or suspected, and it seems almost certainly true. But Ghislaine Maxwell was a mod on Reddit,
yeah.
a very, very active mod on Reddit.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, Maxwell Hill. I think that was the account name.
Oh, that's nuts.
Okay, let's go right back to the beginning of our conversation.
Yeah.
What is this really about? It's not just about a industrial sized global blackmail and trafficking operation. It's pretty much about everything. Everything that's sort of happening in the modern world right now. Every advance, so-called advance in quote unquote science, everything to do with um, the incursion of the corporate world into your body, like bodily sovereignty itself,
Mm-hmm.
the destruction of the family, like technology, the finance world, every fucking thing, AI, it all seems to be the Epstein is the furnace for all of it. He's in there everywhere, and he is. I mean, is he the head of the snake? Of course not. He's just a particularly successful agent, I guess.
Like Forrest Gump. They call him the Forrest Gump of fucking whatever, the deep state.
He's the one we know about now for whatever
Yeah.
reason.
And
There
it's
there are
like,
certainly other Epsteins out there,
and they're
and
like, I feel like everybody's made this point. They're like, wow, we totally got rid of this one bad guy. Good thing all these terrible things die with him, huh?
yeah, yeah,
Next point. According to Jeffrey Epstein, in an email to Peter Thiel, the Rothschilds were one of Epstein's clients,
yeah.
as he told Peter Thiel that he has control of some finances from the Rothschilds so that he could be investing in stuff. And I mean, if the Rothschilds even needed more mud on their name, they got a bit more. But I guess this is more like for the classical conspiracy theorists, where Rothschilds is one of the big families that controls everything.
Yeah. Well, and you know, whether you're a conspiracy theorist or not, you should just know that.
Yeah, that's true. A
Right?
parapolitical theorist.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, where there's a if there's Rothschild involvement, and there's a lot of Rothschild involvement and all sorts of things. There's a great picture, by the way, of is it Linda Rothschild, one of the older Rothschilds, poking King Charles in the chest. It's a very candid photo, and it's if you want a picture of real power,
Yeah.
check that out. Check
Is
that out. You
that
can see here's this, and he's looking down on him, and it's not like he's taller. You can just see in the attitude. It's embodied in this photograph. It's incredibly revealing.
is that
It's
when
it's a
he's
bit
king or
like you
prince?
remember when Xi made Justin Trudeau cry? Do you remember that?
No.
Oh fuck, it was so great. It was a few years ago now, but they were at some conference and Xi Jinping comes over and basically starts poking him in the chest and giving him shit. And
Yeah.
it's caught on camera and then he walks away and Trudeau turns, and as he turns you can see it looks like he's blubbering, like his
Yeah.
daddy just gave him hell. And it's got that kind of mojo, this picture. Like that, this is a Rothschild. These are the people that do actually
Yeah.
fucking run the world.
Hmm. Was sorry, I just wanted to ask, was that when he was Prince Charles or when he was king?
He was Prince at that point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um, and the final point, I gotta wrap this up. Gotta go tend to the toddler. It's been over an
I got
hour.
to go to an 8-hour shift at the
Oh,
bar
yeah, you gotta go listen to
and
people tell
somehow
you.
not bring any of this up.
That's a good point. Uh, the good thing about my work is I could bring stuff like this up because there's a Sasquatch guy at work, so everybody thinks I'm the second craziest guy there.
How could they even hear you with that mask on
That's true. They
and
don't.
the sound of your arc
Yeah,
thing?
just me screaming into the back of my mask about the truth of Epstein, and everybody's like, "You hear that muffled screaming?" No.
Is Dale okay?
And then I lift up my mask and I proclaim for the whole shop to hear, Epstein's not dead. He was swapped out the night of his supposed suicide. And this is the final point. And there's no proof that Epstein's not dead, but there was one real weird 4chan post where a guy says, guys, don't dox me. Somebody came, plain clothes, or not plain clothes, a military dressed guy came in a van. They didn't check in at the gate. They went to like where Epstein was, and then I saw them leaving, and we don't have any record of it. I think
Yeah.
they swapped them out. And I'm
Yeah.
paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly,
Yeah. I
but
read it too. Yeah.
everybody knows that, and they're like, that's crazy. Some weird 15-year-old on 4chan wrote that. Nobody knows. But the weird thing is, this is also an enlightening moment that 4chan is not anonymous, that the big bad boy government knows who posts everything. They there's records. I don't know why they didn't redact this, but there's records of that guy who made that post, and he actually worked at the place where Epstein was being held. Mm. So it lends legitimacy to his claim that Epstein was swapped out because he was actually working that night when the supposed swap out happened.
Yeah. Just not long after he allegedly died, speaking of drone videos, a video emerged. And this is prior to AI consuming all of reality and making everything questionable. So,
Hmm.
so this was real. Um, Somebody flew a drone over Little St. James. You could see, I can't remember his name, but people know his name. One of the guys that worked there, sort of large, kind of Samoan looking dude, and he's reclining against a golf cart or something, and then he's talking to someone, and then this other figure steps out from a doorway, and it's a sort of middle-aged, white, gray-haired fellow. Um, and it's like, what?
Yeah,
Why is this guy who looks a lot like Jeffrey Epstein suddenly on Little St. James?
yeah,
So I don't know. I mean, I'm agnostic on the issue. Pictures are, I've known this. I learned this with the Kennedy thing. You can't rely on pictures, even ones that haven't been digitally manipulated. Um, they're not great evidence. But the reason that I can accept that Jeffrey Epstein lives is because I've looked at the scale of the operation
yeah.
and the as I said before, the godlike's amount of just the resources that were available and the players who were who could be called upon to act the the the
Hmm.
the all, like the is it conceivable that they got him out of jail? Of course. They were fucking that would be the smallest thing
Yeah.
just not a problem, not remotely a problem to do
And the
that.
craziest, one of the crazy part of this is the theory is that they swapped the body that they used to, like, they put in a dead body. They
Yeah.
think it was Hillary's brother,
So
which is who?
I
Tony
know that
Rodham?
that's where I kind of jump off because
I know, but
that's just all that's a little too on the
that's
nose,
another
yeah.
wrinkle in the conspiracy where it's like, that
Yeah.
makes it sound crazy.
Yeah.
So that's probably why it's been supposed that they're like, yeah, and they swapped him with Hillary's brother. And everyone's like, wow, that makes it sound way too fantastical to actually happen. And
And plus, Hillary Clinton
no.
is a major project in terms of poisoning the well because there's so much
Oh,
on
yeah.
Hillary Clinton. Hillary
The
Clinton
whole,
is like, as you know, the scale of evil she's responsible for is Epstein level, I believe,
yeah, the
and
aforementioned
so
Frazzle Drip video.
yeah,
It's too crazy. But you know what? You're right. You know who probably was the body that they swapped it out with? One of his fucking clones.
that to me is actually more believable.
Yeah, they probably hung a clone, broke its neck. Oh, and the other weird thing, they don't have whatever he used to hang himself, which is a weird thing from
I
a
don't know anything about that.
prison cell. You figure they would just be able to have the thing that was around the dead guy's neck. Though
I do know that
maybe
according to one document, Andrew, formerly Prince Andrew, Andrew Windsor or whatever, was reported to have gotten a little disturbed when conversation over dinner turned to cloning and what these things could be used for. And Andrew was heard to ask, well, would this thing have a conscience? Would it be blah blah blah? And Epstein suggesting, well, why don't we just make them without heads? So yeah, organ farming is another part of it. It's ah,
yeah. I mean, what if they were making like fucking taking the adrenochrome from clone babies? It doesn't make it that much less worse. It just so disturbing. All of this is disturbing.
yeah,
Yeah. So
it is wild. Yeah.
enjoy the Lord's Day, I guess. Now that you're all this is we're recording this on Sunday, so now that
I
you're
gotta
all
go run a
bummed out.
Super Bowl party. It's gonna be a great
Oh
day. We had a
yeah.
great show last night at the bar. People are out and having fun in spite of increased financial pressures. And my little community,
Some would
it's
say
not like
that's why they're
some,
having more fun. It's
well, that's the
because
thing,
they have less money, so they're like, I could still afford some beer.
I'm in
Forget
a
about
pretty
all these
good business
troubles.
right now.
Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off. What you were
Oh
saying?
no, that's it. That's all. Yeah, like stay positive. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna stay positive just to fucking stick it to that friend I was talking about who sent me that stupid fucking Instagram video of the sanctimonious bearded asshole telling me
Mm-hmm.
I'm weak-minded and have no spine because my fucking eyes are open and I refuse to live in a hallucination.
And I just want
But
to
I'm
say to
okay.
everybody out there, like I suppose last episode or the episode before, I'm giving you permission to believe in a Jesus Christ that doesn't have the Old Testament God involved. You can have all the goodness of Jesus and not answer the call for genocidal Old Testament God.
He's right. Dale's right.
Yeah. So, and you know, you want to hear this like how I'm a child. So you know how I mentioned how like my kid sees ghosts every once in a while. I started like I heard on some podcasts of the like cult stuff that they're trying to get like Jesus out of like everybody's mouths in public or pop culture and stuff because just saying like Jesus Christ like makes demons and occults like scared or whatever, so they don't want you to say it out loud. So I've just been like, man, it would be a shame if Lord Jesus Christ came here and saw these ghosts. Just to like kind of I mean, I don't think it works. I don't know if it works, but if it works,
I say trust
you
in Christ.
you'd feel dumb for not trying if it works, right?
Yeah.
Like if some fucking demon was pulling out your fingernails and was like, you could have just said that guy's name and I would have been gone. And you're like, oh no, because your mouth fucking sewed shut with demon powers.
Look, that's always been my sense that the way out of like a demonic spiritual attack is that yeah, you can stop it. You have the power to stop it
Hmm.
simply by saying I don't accept this. And yeah, gee, if well, I mean, you saw The Exorcist. The power of Christ compels
Yeah.
you.
And the other thing is like, and the weird, like if you get into like the whole esoteric thing, like God built the earth when he spoke or made the universe when he said the word. So it's like that's how much power speech has and stuff. And it's like, and then you can like think like this is gonna I can't really get into this, but like you think of like oral traditions of pre-writing societies. And another thing that me and Adrian never talked about, this was when Jeff was still host the show. Oh yeah, he I think he through work he's doing like a geologist podcast. I'll ask him and I'll put that in the notes if you want to go hear Jeff's voice because you've missed him for the last 5 months. Anyways, one of the things I totally lost my train of thought that we were talking about. Oh, was how like the Mandela effect, like if we are lapsing timelines, then the when we switch timelines, the written word in books and stuff gets changed. Like there's these theories about how the Bible is being changed, and it's not because people are actually going and taking your Bible out of your house and changing it. It's just because we're switching timelines. But oral traditions would not change when you slip timelines. So that's and then like basically all this is just more examples of how strong and powerful speech is. And then you think of like one of the theories about how the Egyptians built the pyramids was they were like sonic magicians where they would like hum and these like they would hum these notes and these like frequencies and it would make rocks float and stuff. And they would have like chambers that made like their voices echo and stuff. So that's just like more examples of all how voice is strong and stuff. So I guess just say Lord Jesus Christ to chase away the bad thoughts.
Let me end on this note.
Yeah.
If let me posit, let me paint a picture here. We've been talking about Jeffrey Epstein and this seeming global effort to reorganize society according to their rules. And I don't know if you came across the email that was from I'm gonna forget his name now, but this was a prominent a biophysicist, Harvard and then Rutgers, and he's talking to Epstein about the fantastic advances they're making in um, uh, 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 if changing the phenotype, the human phenotype, and introducing more feminized males and more masculinized females. And anyway, what I'm saying is they're talking about the program that we're in the midst of right now, the gender ideology program, and what it's uh, how that is being used in a multifaceted attack on um, sort of the Western Christian tradition, I guess, and the primacy of family, um, and just the sort of an attack on reality itself. And we should remember that one of the strange issues we've been faced with as Canadians in the past few years is compelled speech around gender ideology
Oh yeah.
and how we are being asked persistently from the fucking government on down to use words that do not reflect the reality that what that word like to change the meaning of language
Yeah. And
which
if
is
you
which is
whether
a
you
kind of
like Jordan
cultural
Peterson or
revolution.
not, he lost his practicing license because of this,
Yeah.
which is a fucking nightmare scenario. And a lot of people were like, whatever, fuck that guy, I hate him. But if they can do it to him,
Of course.
just because they did it to someone that you hate doesn't mean they're not going to do it to you or someone you like.
But this is, yeah, you're absolutely true. I'm just, I'm just making a point about, yes, the power of words. Words, why this like real
Mm, yeah.
really concerted effort to undo the meaning of words
Yeah, it is weird. What if we're all like fucking
introduce uncertainty into language.
yeah.
Because language forms consciousness. The post-structuralists, the post-Marxists, all they try to study this, and they're not wrong. It does. Language forms consciousness. So
We're
you
all
can
sorcerers. Say nice stuff to each other.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta go.
Okay. I love you, Adrian.
I love you
I'm
too,
very happy to
Dale.
have you on this podcast. It's been 5 months. I kind of mentioned that you've
That's
been with us,
wild.
and
I didn't even think about it.
that made me scared about how fast time goes by, but I've enjoyed the 5 months that you've been here. Not to
Yeah,
say I
I
didn't
have.
enjoy it with Jeff, but he's doing Rock's podcast, so I
We
hope,
miss Jeff. He's a good man.
yeah. And he's very good for spreading good cheer. Like he always
Yeah,
makes you feel better.
yeah. That's
Um,
important. That's very important.
yeah, I got to go meet my daughter at the duck pond because she spilled juice on her arms, and I got to go
Oh,
bring them water.
geez. I gotta go serve beer to old men. I'll
Yes,
see ya. I'll see you soon.
two very important things that we're helping society through, helping toddlers and adult toddlers who need to drink.
Both ends of life.
Okay. Until
Okay.
next time, don't stay angry. Stay happy.
Stay strong.